Hey, I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek at a piece of software that I've been working on with Greg Arno. This is a piece of software for handling projection mapping. And we've already got a projection mapping system that I put together probably 5 years ago now. And the reason that we are writing this is because that piece of software needs to die. It is one of the most horrible yet useful pieces of software I've ever written. It, yeah, does what it's supposed to do and does it really well, but is a real pain in the butt to work with. So anyway, we decided that we needed to do something different, and we started working on this, and I think this is going to be a fantastic piece of software. So I'll start just talking you through what this does and kind of how we've gone about it. So this piece of software is designed to take input from different sorts of video sources and map it across three-dimensional surfaces to be output on projectors. And in the past, we've approached this a completely different way, where we've just basically mapped two-dimensional polygons to be roughly where the surfaces are winding up being hit by the projection. This completely flips it around, and we build everything in 3D space in this, and then position cameras at the same points that our projectors are, and all of the math for how everything gets displayed just happens automatically because of the nature of working in a 3D world here. So I'll go ahead and show you some of what this does. So if you look at this right here, we'll see a 3D image of the stage set that we're going to be playing around with. This is the stage set from Faith Chapel right now in Billings, Montana. This was just imported from Blender, so we have the ability to import objects from anything that will export a wavefront OBJ file. So that's SketchUp, Blender, 3D Studio Max, basically anything will export an OBJ, which makes it a really convenient format to work in. So we'll go ahead and we already brought that in, and so in here I can select different elements of this scene. And so these panels here are actually LED panels in our real set, and they were just changed to a different color to differentiate them. So I'm going to go ahead and set them to be a color that's a little less obtrusive here. So I'll just go ahead and set them to be a dark gray. Alright, that looks good. So let's actually set this up so that we can do some projection mapping. So these four panels here are our actual projection screens. And what we're going to do is we're going to choose a texture for them. So input layer 0, and then we're going to set it to be shadeless, and then just set the diffuse color on it to be black. So now we have a surface for handling video playback. And all we have to do to make this work at this point is select a frame sequence here, and I'm just going to hit play. And look at that. We've got video going across this, and this is being mapped to some predefined UV coordinates right now. This system currently does not have the ability to edit the texture coordinates for the 3D objects that's coming, just haven't gotten it in yet, but it will import them from any other piece of software that can provide it. So that's all cool. We are seeing how this would look with all of the set in there, but really we don't care about how the set looks in here for most things. So I'm going to go ahead and just set this object so that it's visible on layers 1 and 2, and then I'm going to set our camera so that it's only looking at layer 2. That'll make everything else in the scene go away except for our projection. So that's all cool. Let's go ahead and play something else on here. Let's toss Tremble on there. And this one's going to take a little bit to start going here, not because it's going slow or anything, but because there was a little bit of black on this, because the song starts out kind of quieter. So, oh, there we go. We've got some lyrics going on here. And looking at this now, this actually looks like it's playing back at about twice the frame rate it's supposed to, so I blame Greg for that, which is probably fair because he's been dealing with a memory leak that I screwed up for the past 3 days. So anyway, we have some video going across this projection surface. And so how this actually winds up being used, let me go ahead and adjust my camera field of view just a little bit, because the lens on this is a little wider than what we're actually working with. I'm going to set it to 20. So in our actual set, we have 4 projectors. And you may think, oh, 4 projectors, 1 for each panel. No, that's not how this works. So what we actually have is we have 4 projectors, and we are dividing it so that 2 projectors are hitting a surface that looks like this, that's containing 3 panels. And then the other 2 projectors are on the other side hitting something that looks like this for the other 3 panels. And we use a technique called convergence, where we take multiple projectors and we stack them, stack their images on top of each other so we can get more brightness out of them. So instead of having to go through and line up like where all of these points are in corresponding to where the projectors actually are in 3D space, we just insert cameras into our scene at where the projectors are going to be, and then, as you can see here, we have exactly the image that needs to be projected out of the projector to line up with where this surface exists in 3D space, in the real world. And so it makes it really easy to set some of this stuff up and lets you do some really like complex mapping with very little effort, because you're just mapping your video across the texture for the object, and then you're looking at it from a particular perspective, and it makes things work really nicely. And so it's really slick. And this right now, this is running, it's outputting at 120 frames per second. We actually only need 30 frames per second, so we have a pretty decent amount of margin right now, and this is just running off my laptop. Let's see, what other cool things? Oh, in addition to taking frame sequences in for video playback, we can also take streaming sources. So streaming sources are, the ones we currently support are SDI through Decklink video cards, and NDI, which is a network video protocol. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate that right now. So I'll go ahead and put, let's play this one just so that I've got, actually it's not going to matter because I'm going to put something else on here. Anyway, I will select the streaming source that I've set up, and what this source is actually just a capture of the other window that's, or other screen on my computer right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and link this, and there we go. So we have, this is actually the recording that is happening on the other window through OBS. So this is pretty darn close to real time. I think it's got like about 1 frame of latency, but it works really, really slick. So by doing this, you can take live video in if you want to, through SDI or NDI, or additionally, we could be taking our normal frame sequences in and then do blending modes for our streaming sources over the top of our video. So if we wanted to do something like use something like, let me unlink this, and use something like this sequence here, and then put lyrics over the top of it from our character generator, we could output that through NDI and map it over the top of this so that everything gets distorted to properly wind up on these surfaces, which is really cool. Another cool thing that we can do going down this road is if you're using like ProPresenter for your motion graphics, ProPresenter has an NDI output module, and so you could output content to be mapped onto complex surfaces like this from ProPresenter, and just use this software as the mapping pipeline that will take your source in and then turn it into what it needs to be on the output side to go to the 4 projectors or whatever you're doing to be able to make your set happen. And so it's a really slick setup. Additionally I'll just cover this real quick. I think it's the last thing that I want to go over. In addition to being able to like bring these objects in, I can move them around in 3D space. I can rotate them and scale them, and I can also edit them on a face level. So I can select edges and move them around, edit them, and edit them on a vertex level. So you will be able to actually build your 3D objects and scenes inside of this software without needing any additional tools outside of it. I think there's probably still going to be circumstances where this does not provide you as robust of tools as you might want for like some complex UV mapping stuff or complex modeling. That's not really what this is meant to do. It's more meant to give you basic control over these things. So if you want to tweak an existing mesh or build something simple, you can totally do that. But if I'm building something complex, I'm probably going to still do it through Blender or SketchUp or a system that's really like specifically built to do that. This does give you some cool abilities to modify existing stuff though, and build simple things as well. So that's all I got. I hope this is interesting to you. It is super exciting for us, and man, I want to say another like huge thank you to Greg for all the work he's done on this. This has been a super fun project, but I think for both of us, it's really kind of stretched us, which has been a lot of fun. So yeah, keep watching. I'll add additional videos as we get further along here, and hopefully we'll get to start using this in production here before too long.